All right, so get this. Elon Musk's XAI, they just dropped Grok 3. And
Oh, yeah.
it's making some serious waves already.
It is.
You sent me a stack of articles on this thing, reviews, benchmarks, even Musk's own pronouncements about it.
Sure.
So let's just break it all down and figure out, does this thing actually live up to the hype? Think of this as your like Grok 3 cheat sheet.
Okay.
We're cutting through all the noise and just getting to the good stuff.
Awesome.
So to start off,
Yeah.
Grok 3, it's not just one model. It's like a whole family of AIs tailored to different tasks.
Right. So there's the sort of flagship model. There's a smaller, faster one for if you need to do something quickly.
Okay.
And then there's one specifically for complex reasoning.
Hold on. So different versions of it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But let's back up for a sec. You mentioned this flagship model.
Right.
We're talking 1.8 trillion parameters.
Yeah.
Trained on a massive network of 200,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs.
It's a beast.
To put that into perspective, that's like comparing a bicycle to a spaceship.
It's a lot of power.
Yeah.
It's a crazy amount of compute.
And the early benchmark results you sent me?
Yes.
It's scoring insanely high on these tests. Like AMI for math, GPQA for science.
Yep.
It's leaving competitors like GPT-4o and DeepSeek R1
in the dust.
totally in the dust. We're talking significant margins here.
Big time.
Okay, so it's a beast.
Yes.
But what does that actually mean for like, the average person?
Right.
Does acing a math test make Grok 3 smart in like a human sense?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, how do you even define intelligence when it comes to these things?
Right.
But I think what's really fascinating is the way Grok 3 actually goes about solving problems.
Okay, how so?
So one example is it's got this thing called think mode.
Okay.
So it doesn't just try and solve something once it creates like 7 different reasoning paths simultaneously.
Whoa.
It's almost like having 7 different mini AIs brainstorming on a problem.
That's crazy.
And then it cross-checks its work. Like it looks at all these different answers, ditches the paths that lead to errors.
So it's basically got built-in quality control.
Right.
That explains why they're boasting a 63% reduction in math errors compared to Grok 2.
Yeah, and that was a big issue with Grok 2,
Right.
so...
Okay, but what about when it encounters something really, really tough? Like quantum physics level tough?
Yeah, then it's time for big brain mode.
Big brain mode.
Yeah, basically, think of it like overclocking a computer.
Okay.
Grok 3 gets this massive boost in processing power
Wow.
to handle those complex calculations.
So is it going from a sprint to a marathon?
Exactly.
Now, I know this was a big talking point for Elon, right? Creating an AI that's less woke, to use his words.
Yeah, he's been pretty vocal about that. Like,
Okay.
that's been a big thing for him.
So how did XAI try and address that with Grok 3?
Well, they really leaned heavily into something called synthetic data.
Okay, what's that?
So instead of training Grok 3 on just existing data, which can be full of all sorts of biases, right?
Right.
They actually went and created millions of their own text conversations,
Oh.
carefully balanced to avoid, pushing it in any particular direction.
So they basically built a custom, like, neutral training ground for this thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
That's really
a
clever.
really interesting approach.
Yeah.
It's like they tried to control the environment as much as possible.
But is that enough to actually guarantee a truly neutral AI?
That's the question, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
how do you even measure something like that?
Right. How do you define neutral?
Exactly.
It's tricky.
It's a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
Early tests show that Grok 3 is scoring higher on these neutrality assessments, but it's still a work in progress, I think.
So they've made progress, but the quotient of true AI neutrality still remains this, like, big...
Yeah, it's like this philosophical
Yeah.
question almost.
Okay, so Grok 3 is clearly a powerhouse.
Oh, yeah.
But how does it actually perform in the real world? Some of this stuff you sent over is mind-blowing.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah?
I mean, you've seen it do some incredible things, like
What?
generating working code for a Settlers of Catan game.
No way.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
Solving quantum entanglement problems, like complex ones.
Seriously.
Yeah, and even analyzing legal documents way faster than GPT-4o, like 2.3 times faster.
Hold on, Settlers of Catan code.
Yeah,
I need to see that in action.
it's pretty impressive.
That's amazing.
It's fun to see what people are doing with it.
But I'm guessing it's not all sunshine and roses with this thing.
Well, of course not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still, it's got limitations.
Like what?
Well, it bombed some basic Unicode decoding tests.
Really?
Yeah, and it really struggled with like really niche queries.
Okay.
There was this funny anecdote about someone asking Grok 3 about Brian Johnson's, the biohacking guy,
Uh-huh.
his detailed toothpaste routine, and Grok 3 just couldn't handle it.
So even a super AI can be stumped by a biohacker's toothpaste obsession.
Apparently so.
That's hilarious.
It's a good reminder that even with all this progress, we're still kind of in the early stages,
That's right.
figuring this stuff out.
All right, so we've covered the basics, the thinking process, and even dipped our toes into its real-world performance.
Yeah,
But there's still so much more to unpack.
definitely.
We'll be right back with part 2 of our Grok 3 deep dive, where we'll tackle the potential impact of this AI and what the future might hold for this powerful tech.
Sounds good.
Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to our deep dive on Grok 3. Last time we left off talking about how Grok 3 handles real-world tasks, the good, the bad, and the toothpaste-related hiccups.
Right.
But now let's zoom out a bit. What does Grok 3 actually mean for the future of AI? Is this like a major shift or just another step in the right direction?
I think it's definitely a significant development. I mean, Grok 3 is cheaper and more powerful than a lot of the competition out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's connected to X's massive user base. So you could be looking at millions of people using this AI
Wow.
in their everyday lives.
That's huge. Yeah, imagine the possibilities. Everything from searching for information to writing code could be totally revolutionized by this.
Yeah.
But hold on, isn't there a chance this could disrupt things too? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, can XAI really compete with, the established players like Google
Right.
in terms of reach and infrastructure?
Yeah.
That's a big question mark.
Okay, fair point.
Yeah.
It's not just about the tech itself, it's about how it fits into like the existing landscape.
Right.
And speaking of fitting in, I keep thinking back to Elon's goal of building an anti-woke AI.
Yeah.
Can that even be achieved?
It's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of raises this fundamental question about AI in general, right?
What's that?
Can any AI truly be neutral?
Right.
And like, who gets to decide what neutral even means?
Yeah.
It's a very complex issue with a lot of different perspectives.
For sure. It's not as simple as just flipping a switch.
No.
And let's be real, the potential impact of like a truly powerful AI is huge.
It is.
We've already talked about how it could change things like, information access and content creation. But what about the potential downsides?
Well, one of the big concerns is job displacement.
Oh, yeah, of course.
As AI gets more advanced, certain tasks that are currently done by humans are inevitably going to become automated.
Right.
And so we need to be thinking about how to prepare for that shift.
That's a good point. Retraining workers and creating new opportunities will be key.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not just about jobs, right? There are bigger, societal implications to consider.
Oh, for sure. I mean, how will AI affect our relationships, our creativity, even our sense of self?
Wow.
These are questions that we need to be asking ourselves now, not after the fact.
Absolutely. So Grok 3 is this fascinating mix of potential and unknowns.
It is.
Could be like a total game changer, but it also comes with this whole set of challenges we need to really address.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
But what about the tech itself? Where does Grok 3 go from here?
Well, things are about to get even more interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
XAI has this whole roadmap of features planned.
Okay.
So they've got voice mode coming soon.
What?
Which will allow you to interact with Grok 3 directly.
So you can just talk to it?
Yeah, like having a conversation.
That's why.
And they're also working on multi-agent collaboration.
Hold on, multi-agent collaboration. What does that even mean?
So imagine like a team of Grok 3 AIs all working together on a problem.
Okay.
They can share information, learn from each other, and essentially become exponentially smarter as a unit.
That's insane.
It's like combining the strengths of, multiple experts
Yeah.
into one super-powered AI team.
Wow, that's like a whole other level.
Yeah.
So we've got voice interaction AI teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, a little bit.
And speaking of sci-fi, what about Elon's ultimate goal, right?
Mm.
Artificial general intelligence.
Well,
Where does Grok 3 fit into that?
Well, that's the big question. Musk sees Grok 3 as a stepping stone towards AGI.
Okay.
This hypothetical AI that possesses human-level intelligence and can learn and solve problems across any domain.
Right.
It's a bold vision, to say the least.
AGI, the ultimate AI moonshot.
Yeah.
It's almost too big to wrap our heads around. But for now, let's just focus on what we know.
Yeah.
Grok 3 is here, it's evolving rapidly, and it's already making a splash.
Yeah.
What should we be watching for in the coming months?
I think there are a couple of key things to keep an eye on. First, will XAI be able to actually deliver on these ambitious features they've announced?
Right.
Voice interaction, multi-agent collaboration. These are huge undertakings.
Yeah, they are.
And second, will Grok 3 become like the go-to AI for the average user, or will it remain a tool for like tech enthusiasts?
The adoption rate is a big one. Will people actually use this thing?
Exactly.
And what about the research side?
Yeah, that's another area to watch closely. Will XAI push the boundaries of AI research,
No.
or will they focus more on like commercial applications? The balance between those two will be interesting to see.
Wow, so many questions, so much to consider. We've covered a lot of ground here. The tech, the potential, the challenges. But we're not done yet. Join us for the final part of our Grok 3 deep dive, where we'll explore some of the reactions from users and experts alike. Plus, we'll tackle the big question. What could the long-term impact of Grok 3 really be? Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the final part of our Grok 3 deep dive. We've talked about the tech behind it, the potential impact, and even some of the challenges it faces. But before we wrap things up, I'm curious what people are actually saying about this AI, out in the wild.
Yeah, it's been fascinating to see the reactions.
Yeah.
Like industry leaders like Lex Fridman, they're praising Grok 3's depth and nuance,
Oh, really?
particularly in philosophical discussions.
Interesting.
Yeah, Amjad Masad, the CEO of Replit, called it a state-of-the-art frontier model for code generation.
Wow.
Clearly, it's making a strong impression.
It is, and we can't forget Andres Karpathy, right?
Of course.
His perspective is really valuable, given his background at Tesla.
Right, he's got that insider knowledge.
Yeah. What do you have to say about Grok 3?
Well, he was really impressed by its ability to generate working settlers of Catan code, but he also highlighted some of its limitations.
Like what?
Like it struggles with SVG image generation.
So it's not perfect.
No, it's not perfect.
It's a good reminder that even the most advanced AI still has room for improvement.
For sure.
It's all about progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
But what about like everyday users?
Yeah.
What are they saying about their experiences with Grok 3?
Well, early user feedback has been largely positive.
That's good.
Siobhan Zillis, a director at Neuralink, mentioned finding the quantum physics tutorials unexpectedly rewarding.
That's cool.
Yeah. And others have praised Grok 3's ability to correct errors in a helpful and non-judgmental way,
Well, that's nice.
which can be really encouraging when you're, trying to learn something new.
Absolutely. So it sounds like Grok 3 is already making a real impact, both for tech experts and for people just starting to explore the world of AI.
Yeah, I think so.
That's pretty amazing to see.
Yeah.
But as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's important to step back and consider the bigger picture.
Okay.
What could the long-term impact of Grok 3 really be?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, we've
Yeah.
talked about its potential to revolutionize everything from information search to content creation.
Right.
But there are also, challenges to consider, like ensuring responsible development and, mitigating any potential negative impacts.
It's like we're standing at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Grok 3 represents this incredible leap forward in AI capabilities,
Uh-huh.
but it also forces us to confront some tough questions about the future we want to build.
Absolutely. It's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we choose to use it.
Right.
And that's a conversation that we all need to be a part of.
I completely agree. Well, to everyone listening out there, we've taken you on this deep dive into the world of Grok 3, exploring its potential, its limitations, and the big questions it raises. Now, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
What excites you about its possibilities? What concerns do you have? Share your insights and keep the conversation going. And with that, we'll bring this deep dive to a close. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the fascinating world of Grok 3 with us. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring.